The Zrax Empire's grand chamber gleamed with cold, metallic opulence, its towering holographic monitors buzzing with the image of a solitary human figure. Ambassador Elias Cain stood resolute at the heart of the assembly, his voice calm but firm as he addressed the gathered alien dignitaries. "Humanity seeks only peace and cooperation," Cain said, his tone unwavering despite the mocking smirks and murmurs that rippled through the chamber. He knew this was a calculated performance. His role was to prove Earth's worth on the galactic stage, to show the resilience of a species that had clawed its way from war-torn histories to a place among the stars. The Zrax Emperor, seated on a raised dais, leaned forward, his reptilian eyes narrowing. "Peace? Cooperation? From a species as insignificant as yours?" His voice was a low growl that echoed through the hall. "Earth is nothing but an inconvenience." Cain's jaw tightened, but he maintained his composure. "Underestimating humanity has been a mistake for others before. We ask for inclusion, not because we are weak, but because we know the strength of unity." The Emperor's laughter boomed, cutting through the air like a blade. "Strength? Allow me to demonstrate strength." He raised a clawed hand, signaling the guards flanking Cain. Before the ambassador could react, a jolt of energy coursed through his body, dropping him to his knees. The chamber erupted in shouts and murmurs, but the Emperor raised a hand, silencing them. "Let this be a lesson to all," he declared, his voice amplified across the galaxy. "Defiance will not be tolerated." The cameras captured every detail as a gleaming blade was brought forward, its edge shimmering with deadly precision. Cain, bloodied but unbowed, lifted his head. His voice, strained but resolute, carried across the room. "Humanity will remember." The executioner moved swiftly, the blade descending in a flash of light. The transmission ended abruptly, leaving a silent, darkened chamber behind. Across Earth, billions watched in horror as the broadcast ended. For a moment, there was nothing but stunned silence, a collective breath held as the reality of what they had witnessed sank in. Then came the rage. In the heart of New York City, a crowd gathered in Times Square, their faces illuminated by the haunting final image of Cain. Someone raised a banner that read, "For Cain, for humanity." The cry was taken up, spreading like wildfire across continents. Protests turned into rallies, grief morphing into a burning determination. Cain's family, seated in their modest home, became unwilling symbols of the movement. His wife, Elena, a journalist known for her sharp wit, addressed the world with tears streaming down her face. "They thought they silenced him. But his voice will echo in every action we take. This isn't the end. It's the beginning." Across Earth's fragmented governments, leaders convened in emergency sessions. The United Nations, often paralyzed by indecision, suddenly found unity in anger. A resolution was passed unanimously. Humanity would no longer pursue diplomacy with the Zrax Empire. Retaliation became the mandate. On the far side of the moon, a hidden military complex roared to life. Engineers and scientists, some working in secret for years, unveiled prototypes of weapons and ships designed for survival against far superior alien threats. The Terran Coalition, a unified Earth military force, was born. In underground bunkers and orbital stations, preparations began. Cain's haunting words, "Humanity will remember," played on loop in recruitment centers. Soldiers enlisted in droves, spurred on by the collective grief and fury of a species that had finally found a common cause. Across the galaxy, the Zrax broadcast rippled through the networks. Some alien species, long oppressed by the Empire, whispered their support for Earth. The execution, meant to instill fear, had instead sown seeds of rebellion. Humanity's response was not just anger, it was a calculated, deliberate determination. As the Terran Coalition mobilized, Earth prepared for a war it had never wanted but now embraced with a singular focus. The message was clear. Humanity would not be silenced. In the aftermath of Ambassador Cain's execution, Earth was no longer the fractured planet it once was. The shock of his death ignited something primal and unifying. The leaders of Earth's major nations, often divided by ideology and ambition, met in a secure underground complex for the first time as true equals. The agenda was simple but monumental: survival, vengeance, and a unified path forward. "We don't have the luxury of debates," declared General Marcus Ayo, a grizzled veteran known for his bluntness. "The Zrax Empire thinks we're insignificant. That's our advantage." For the first time, political leaders ceded unprecedented control to a global coalition. The Terran Coalition was established as Earth's first unified military and scientific command. The planet's brightest minds and most experienced tacticians were brought together under a single directive: to prepare Earth for war. Earth's transformation began immediately. Laboratories, factories, and research hubs across the globe were repurposed overnight. Civilian technologies, once used for convenience and commerce, became the backbone of Earth's war effort. The Coalition's engineers built fleets of modular warships capable of adapting to any threat. AI systems, originally designed for urban management, were rewritten to pilot these vessels and coordinate battlefield strategies. Human ingenuity thrived under pressure. Earth's scientists, unhindered by bureaucratic red tape, devised weapons that defied convention. One of their most promising breakthroughs was the kinetic bombardment array, a weapon that used high-velocity projectiles to devastate targets with pinpoint precision. Unlike energy weapons favored by the Zrax Empire, these kinetic strikes were simple, brutal, and nearly impossible to counter. Behind closed doors, teams worked on stealth technologies that would allow ships to bypass Zrax detection grids. It wasn't about matching the Empire's firepower, it was about outthinking them. Every resource was funneled into tactics and tools that could exploit the Empire's arrogance and over-reliance on tradition. Amid this flurry of activity, humanity's media machinery worked just as efficiently as its weapons labs. Cain's story became the centerpiece of a global propaganda campaign. His final moments, his unbroken gaze as he uttered his last words, were broadcast across every channel, every screen. The message was clear: humanity had suffered an unthinkable loss, but it would not break. "For Cain, for humanity," became the rallying cry. Recruitment centers overflowed as volunteers from all walks of life lined up to join the fight. Farmers, teachers, and engineers donned uniforms, their eyes burning with determination. The Coalition's leaders were careful to temper the rage with purpose. This wasn't just about revenge, it was about securing humanity's future. Earth's ability to manipulate emotion and narrative extended beyond its own borders. Through covert channels, the Coalition reached out to alien species oppressed by the Zrax Empire. The execution of Cain, initially intended to intimidate, became the proof of the Empire's cruelty. Whisper networks spread through occupied territories, and small resistance movements began to coalesce around the hope that humanity could be the spark to topple their oppressors. One such ally came from an unexpected source: Dr. Zalvesh, a renowned Zrax scientist who had grown disillusioned with the Empire's tyranny. He defected to Earth under cover of darkness, bringing with him detailed schematics of Zrax military infrastructure. His insights were invaluable, offering the Coalition a roadmap to exploit weaknesses the Empire didn't even know it had. "We must be precise," Zalvesh warned during his first briefing with Coalition leaders. "The Zrax thrive on overwhelming power. If you hit them where it hurts, they'll flinch. But you must strike hard, and without hesitation." The Coalition heeded his advice. Initial skirmishes were small, targeted strikes on Zrax outposts and supply lines. These missions were designed not only to weaken the enemy but to test the Coalition's new technologies and tactics. The results were staggering. Earth's unconventional methods left Zrax commanders scrambling for explanations. Reports of entire supply convoys disappearing without a trace began to spread. Meanwhile, back on Earth, Cain's family remained at the heart of the movement. His wife, Alina, took to the airwaves frequently, her words carefully chosen to inspire and unify. "Elias believed in humanity's potential," she said in one broadcast. "Let's prove him right." In one of the most audacious moves, the Coalition unveiled a tactic that would become its hallmark: kinetic bombardment. In a carefully coordinated operation, a single Zrax dreadnought, a symbol of their dominance, was destroyed by a direct kinetic strike. The projectile, fired from a stealth platform hidden on the edge of a neighboring star system, pierced the dreadnought's hull with devastating precision. The Zrax Empire, so reliant on energy shields and conventional fleet tactics, had no defense against the sheer physical force of Earth's weaponry. News of the dreadnought's destruction spread quickly, and for the first time, the galaxy began to view Earth as something more than a minor annoyance. For the oppressed species under Zrax's rule, it was a beacon of hope. For the Empire, it was a warning they could no longer ignore. Earth's transformation wasn't just physical, it was psychological. The people of Earth, once divided by petty conflicts, now shared a singular purpose. Cain's sacrifice had become more than a tragedy. It was the foundation of a new era for humanity. The message was clear: Earth was no longer a passive participant in the galaxy. It was a force to be reckoned with. The Zrax Empire had expected Earth's response to be loud but meaningless, desperate posturing from a primitive world. What they had not anticipated was a calculated campaign of terror aimed directly at the heart of their supply chain. Earth's forces, still outnumbered and outgunned, struck in ways that defied every conventional military expectation. The first coordinated strike came in the outer colonies. A Zrax logistics hub, responsible for fueling and arming an entire sector's fleet, was obliterated overnight. A squadron of Earth's newly designed stealth ships infiltrated the system undetected, deploying precise kinetic bombardments that reduced critical infrastructure to rubble. The attack lasted mere minutes, leaving no time for retaliation. The Zrax commanders, arrogant and complacent, were blindsided. In the command center of the Terran coalition, General Marcus Ao reviewed the operation with satisfaction. "We didn't just hit their supply lines. We shattered their confidence." The reports from Zrax space confirmed this. Their fleets were scrambling, their chains of command riddled with confusion. Earth wasn't fighting on the Empire's terms, and that was their greatest strength. Word of Earth's audacious victories spread rapidly. On Zrax-controlled worlds, whispers of rebellion turned into bold acts of defiance. Resistance cells, long dormant under the crushing weight of Imperial rule, began to strike back. Earth's forces provided weapons, intelligence, and a single promise: you are not alone. The Terran coalition's next target was an Imperial garrison on the planet Draxxir. The Zrax forces there had fortified the city to be impenetrable, assuming their superior firepower was deterrent enough. They underestimated Earth's ability to adapt. Using advanced AI reconnaissance, the coalition mapped every vulnerable point in the garrison's defenses. A small team of Terran special forces, led by Captain Mira Halstead, infiltrated under the cover of night. Halstead's team moved like shadows, disabling security systems and planting high-yield explosives in critical locations. The mission was surgical, designed to cause maximum disruption with minimal loss of life. As dawn broke, Draxxir's Imperial stronghold erupted in a series of devastating explosions. By the time Zrax reinforcements arrived, the garrison had fallen, and Earth's flag flew over the ruins. These victories emboldened Earth's allies. Dr. Zalvesh, the defected Zrax scientist, became a key figure in rallying alien factions to the coalition's cause. At a clandestine meeting on a neutral asteroid base, Zalvesh addressed representatives from several oppressed species. "The Empire thrives on fear and division," he said. "Earth has proven that even the smallest can strike the mighty. Together, we are unstoppable." One by one, these factions pledged their support. Each brought unique strengths to the coalition: fleets of nimble fighters, expertise in sabotage, and knowledge of Zrax protocols that gave Earth an edge in planning future operations. The rebellion was no longer a distant dream. It was a growing force that the Empire could no longer ignore. But the coalition's success came at a cost. Every victory brought retaliation. On Earth, Zrax drones attacked civilian infrastructure, targeting power grids and communication hubs. The losses were devastating, but they only fueled humanity's resolve. "If they think they can scare us," Alina Cain said during a broadcast, "they haven't been paying attention." The turning point came when the Terran coalition launched a direct strike on a Zrax fleet stationed in the Varnos system. This fleet, considered one of the Empire's strongest, was tasked with crushing the rebellion. It was a test of Earth's new technologies and tactics, and failure would mean annihilation. The battle was chaos. Zrax's warships unleashed torrents of plasma fire, but Earth's stealth vessels danced through the barrage, their adaptive AI predicting and countering every move. Kinetic projectiles punched through Zrax's armor, shattering ships that had been thought invincible. Earth's forces took heavy losses, but their ingenuity and determination turned the tide. By the end of the battle, the Varnos fleet was in ruins. The Zrax Empire had lost one of its most critical strongholds, and Earth had proven that even the mighty could fall. The galaxy watched in stunned silence as the Terran coalition announced its victory. The message was clear: humanity would not be conquered. In the wake of the Varnos battle, the Zrax Empire began to fracture. Internal dissent grew as lower-ranking commanders questioned the Emperor's decisions. The rebellion, once scattered and weak, became a unified force. Earth had not just survived, it had become the symbol of hope for an entire galaxy. But the coalition knew the war was far from over. Each victory brought them closer to their ultimate goal, the heart of the Empire itself. Humanity's vengeance was just beginning. The Terran coalition's fleet moved silently through the void, a shadow against the stars. At its head were Earth's finest warships, their hulls glinting faintly with adaptive stealth technology. This was the culmination of years of planning, of sacrifices made and battles fought. The target was Zoltran Prime, the capital of the Zrax Empire, and the heart of its oppressive rule. Humanity's message was clear: the time for vengeance had come. In the Coalition's command ship, General Marcus Ao stood before a holographic display, watching as the final battle plan unfolded. Their objective was as symbolic as it was strategic: strike at the Empire's core, dismantle its leadership, and dismantle its grip on the galaxy. The assembled forces, composed of both human and alien allies, represented a coalition that had been unthinkable only a few years ago. Now, it was the Empire's worst nightmare. The initial assault was a masterpiece of coordination. Earth's stealth ships bypassed the Empire's orbital defenses, sowing chaos in their ranks before the main fleet arrived. The Zrax defenders, accustomed to overwhelming power, found themselves disoriented and outmaneuvered. Coalition warships unleashed devastating kinetic strikes, their projectiles ripping through the Empire's vaunted energy shields. In the confusion, the Coalition's fleet established a beachhead around Zoltran Prime, cutting off reinforcements from nearby systems. On the surface, the battle was just as fierce. Terran Special Forces, led by Captain Mira Halstead, landed in the Imperial District under the cover of darkness. Their mission was to infiltrate the Emperor's palace and capture him alive. It was a bold and dangerous gambit, but one that could end the war in a single stroke. The streets of Zoltran Prime, once pristine and orderly, erupted into chaos as the Coalition forces clashed with Imperial guards. Inside the palace, the air was thick with tension. Halstead's team moved with precision, neutralizing threats and navigating the labyrinthine halls. They reached the throne room, where the Emperor waited, flanked by his elite guards. He was not the cowering figure they had hoped for, but a towering presence, his reptilian features twisted in a sneer of disdain. "You dare bring war to my doorstep?" the Emperor growled, his voice dripping with contempt. "Do you think you've won?" Halstead didn't respond. Her team acted as one, disarming the guards in a flurry of movement. The Emperor, despite his bluster, was forced to his knees, bound and subdued. The throne room, once a symbol of the Empire's absolute power, was now a stage for its humiliation. The capture of the Emperor was broadcast across the galaxy, a deliberate reversal of the execution of Ambassador Cain. The sight of the Zrax ruler, defeated and restrained, sent shockwaves through the Empire's territories. For the oppressed species under its rule, it was a moment of triumph. For humanity, it was justice. But as the dust settled, a new challenge emerged. The Coalition's leadership faced a moral dilemma: what to do with the Emperor. The calls for revenge were loud and passionate. Many argued that his execution, mirroring Cain's, would send a message of finality. Others, including Cain's widow Elena, cautioned against such a path. "We are not them," she said during a closed meeting of the Coalition's Council. Justice is not vengeance. Cain believed in something greater. Let's not destroy that in his name. The debate raged on. Some feared that sparing the Emperor would be seen as weakness, that it would embolden the remnants of the Empire. Others argued that a public trial would expose the Empire's crimes, galvanizing the galaxy against any resurgence of its rule. In the end, it was decided that the Emperor would face a tribunal, a new galactic council that would judge him for his atrocities. As the Coalition's forces consolidated their hold on Zoltran Prime, the galaxy began to change. With the Emperor's capture, the Zrax military splintered. Rebellions erupted in every corner of the Empire, with liberated species dismantling the remnants of their oppressors. Earth's actions had not only toppled a regime but had ignited a movement that could reshape the galaxy. Back on Earth, Cain's family watched the events unfold with a mix of pride and sorrow. His death had been the spark that set humanity on this path, but the cost had been immense. The Terran Coalition had lost thousands in the fight, and the scars of war would linger for generations. In the final broadcast from Zoltran Prime, General Ao addressed the galaxy. Today, we stand not as conquerors, but as liberators. This is not the end of our fight, it is the beginning of a new era. Humanity will never forget the cost of freedom, and we will never stop defending it. The broadcast ended with a solemn image of the Coalition's flag flying over the Imperial Palace. For the first time in centuries, the galaxy saw the possibility of a future free from tyranny. And at the heart of it all was Earth, a once fringe world that had risen to become a beacon of hope and resilience. As the Coalition began the arduous task of rebuilding, the lessons of the war were etched into history. Humanity had proven its strength, not just in battle, but in its ability to inspire and unite. The Zrax Empire had fallen, but the true victory was the unity forged in its wake. The stars would never forget.